curious and ever changing and seeking new things. That's just the way we are. And our brains are like sponges. We're constantly absorbing new information. But as we accumulate and curate new knowledge, we sometimes discover that certain things we believe to be true are not necessarily true. And sometimes the truths that we hold are not necessarily accurate in our understanding. And when we come to this realization, it can be extremely unsettling, especially in the ministry, especially when we have great influence over people as teachers or leaders. But it's a natural part of learning. It's a natural part of growing. It's a natural part of the human experience. And we need to understand a couple of things. First is we need to understand the nature of our learning as a continuation of our growing. Throughout life, we're constantly learning through experiences, through education, through interaction, and most of all, wisdom comes through our mistakes. This lifelong learning is essential to our growing and maturing. However, it is important to understand that as we learn, we then all of a sudden may realize that something we thought to be true is in fact error. It's not a failure, but it's an indication of our understanding and our growing and our maturity. The second thing we need to know is that there's a need to adapt to new information, to adapt the way we think, the way we process, the way we teach, the way we embrace, the way we think about everything. When we discover an error in our understanding or belief, it's vital for us to approach this realization with an open mind. Instead of getting frustrated or clinging to outdated things or wrong beliefs, we should be willing to change and adapt to the truth. Throwing ourselves into despair is not productive. The best approach is to acknowledge the error, understand why we were mistaken, and adapt our beliefs of understanding accordingly. Finally, we ought to be about protecting our integrity and past influence. Just because we were wrong doesn't mean that everything that we were was a waste. Everything that we've understood or taught was wrong. Of course, it could be tainted. It could, in some people's eyes, damage our credibility. However, there's a concern with many of us that changing our stance or beliefs might undermine that credibility and past influence, but it doesn't. It's essential to recognize that changing our perspective based on new information is a sign of intellectual maturity, is a sign of spiritual integrity. It doesn't mean that everything we believed or said in the past was wrong. It simply means that we are moving towards a more accurate understanding. And by openly communicating this stuff, we even strengthen our credibility. For those who actually are also paying attention, we become more powerful in our understanding and thus more important to the conversation, especially because we're committed to truth and we're committed to learning that truth. So the journey of continual learning, of understanding, of growing is an enriching and endless one. As we navigate through life, it's inevitable that we're going to encounter new information that challenges our worldview, that challenges what we believe is true, that challenges our existing beliefs, and even challenges as believers, even challenges our faith. The key is to embrace these moments as opportunities of growth, as divine opportunities for spiritual maturity, not as failures. By adapting our perspectives and acknowledging the, if I could very well say it clearer, the evolution of our understanding, which is the growing of our understanding, we can foster a mindset of openness, vulnerability, humility, growing maturity, and wisdom that benefits not just us, but the world around us. So for what it's worth, pay attention to what you think is different. Pay attention to the things that you see may not be exactly as you think they are. And embrace the conversation, because in the economy of grace, if people can't have a conversation about contrary ideas lovingly and carefully, then there's no conversation to be had. Are you listening?